The NFL is interesting because it's one of those sports that it really is no off season. I feel like you go from OTAs, right? Well, really the draft. The draft really kicks off, but before the draft, you have the combine where people are still working, and they have like a veterans combine now, right?
Yeah. So we're working. We've been working as a team, as a unit since April 8th of this year, and the combine was before that. The draft is in late. It was
April this year.
Late April.
April this year.
So yeah, no, I mean you're pretty much working all year.
All year,
round.
right?
I mean, even when you're away from the facility, you can't take. You can only take but so much time off. There's some guys who find a way to take off a couple months and all that stuff, but like by the time you didn't let your body get out of shape and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, even when you're not quote unquote working, you're working, right? Yeah. Because I mean, your body is your asset, and we all. I mean, even if you're not an exercise enthusiast, you know how quickly you can get out of shape. Yeah. Right? It only takes a week. Take you a whole year to get in shape. You take a week off, and you go. So
I brought that up because you had an injury while you were in Detroit, and it kind of like changed the forecast. We'll probably get into that in the next segment, but. What was it? A torn
pec.
Torn pec.
Yeah.
And during that time, it was like, you know what? Let me focus on some other things, right? Because I think you went to the veteran combine and you impressed some people, and they were like, "Wait, this guy runs a 4.5. Like, oh, we need to bring him in."
Yeah.
But you had that was Detroit brought you in, but you got hurt.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and just attack the story. So year one, rookie practice squad. Like I said, we had said earlier, I got cut after week 4. A few weeks later, with the Tennessee Titans, got cut. They picked me back up the next week and let me through the season. But you're like, dang, this is kind of fickle. So then year 2, I'm going into it. I'm like, okay, hey, I got my foot in the door. Now I know what to expect. This should be not a walk in the park, but I know what to expect, right? I was a long shot last year. Now I'm not a vet, but I know what I'm going into this year. Make the team, make the practice squad. I'm there for 2 weeks. We had new coaching staff and all that stuff. 2 weeks, and then after that I get cut. So I'm like, okay, it'll be similar to last year. Somebody will call me next week or something. No call. Yeah. Nothing going on, right? And this is my second year. I'm like, what's going on, man? Okay. So I'm working out, changing my body up, working out, and just keep staying focused, staying on task. I remember Sunday nights watching the other people play and just running on the treadmill, right? So during that time though, so you go in September 14th, 15th through January, no call, no check, no anything, right? And so I'm like, all right, during that time, I'm like, you got to figure out what your life is going to look like. For me, that was a big slap in the face of I always knew it, but that was a big shaking of this. You really can never put yourself in a position where you're dependent on the Tennessee Titans, the Baltimore Ravens at that time to give me a check, right? I got to provide, right? So I gave myself a year at that point because I knew I could play in the NFL. It would be one thing if I went up there and I was like, man, I'm getting tossed around like a little schoolboy, right? I'm like, no, I can play in the NFL and I can be good. So I'm going to give myself 1 year and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it. And that March, there was a veterans combine. The way God works, there was a veterans combine. That was the only year they ever did it. They didn't have it before. They stopped it after. It was 1,000 or 1,000 people, over 1,000 guys tried to get in.
You pay to do that? You pay to be part of it?
I didn't pay.
Invitation, right?
Yeah, invitation. Okay. You paid to fly out there and do all that kind of stuff. But over 1,000 guys tried to get in, and they only accepted 100. Mm-hmm. I didn't get in at first. And I remember signing up to play arena football, giving myself a year to do it. I could have went and played CFL, but that's a 2-year agreement. That's against the agreement I made to myself, right? I give myself a year to get this thing back. If not, then I got to go hustle up on Wall Street to do something else, right? Yeah. I fly down to Orlando Predators arena football team. I'm literally unpack my suitcase, literally get everything in the drawers. I'm ready to do this, right? I lay down on the bed and then the boom, whatever the mail sound comes through, I look at it. You've been invited to the Veterans Combine. What? Okay. So I call the coach, get all that stuff worked out from there, and then I go and do the Veterans Combine, and I literally had the best day at the office I've ever had. I ran a 4.51 laser. Actually, the day before, we were supposed to do the whole combine, the bench press and all that type of stuff. Yeah. A guy gets up and says, hey, like basically, these scouts don't want to waste their time being here with y'all, so we're going to cut out all of that stuff. They basically said that if y'all were good, you'd already be in the league, right? We've seen you guys, we've seen other stuff. So we sitting there eating dinner, and I'm like, God dang, like you took all our money to get out here though, right? Like, oh, well, I guess, it's chips are stacked against us. Yeah. So anyway, I do my workout, and I go from literally no offers, sitting unemployed the whole year, to 7 teams lined up to talk to me. And then after that combine, having 16 teams, half the NFL giving me an offer and an invite to one of their camps.
That's dope.
And again, you still haven't made it yet, right? So I keep that in perspective. I go with Detroit, and then I make the 53-man roster finally, right? First year making 53-man. I play with them a whole year, go another year, play with them, and then I'm going into year 3. And in year 3, I'm in this position where I'm finally at this point where it's like you're about to start. I remember we practiced against the Indianapolis Colts. So now you're in July of 2017. We practiced against the Indianapolis Colts. We have them joint practices, and, my coach comes up to me the night before the game. So we practice against them for 2 days, and then we play them in the preseason game. It blows my mind, but that's what we do. Yeah. Now this dude knows I'm a good move, right? So now we so the coach comes up to me, my linebacker coach. He's like, Cope, listen, like I want to let you know, like, you've done a great job this week, right? Like you really impressed myself, the GM, the head coach. Like you're going to be our starting linebacker, right? So go out there tomorrow, get you a few reps, nothing too crazy, get you a few reps, but like I'm very proud of you, kid. Like, good job, right? So I'm like, dang, like, this has been a roller coaster ride, and wow.
Okay, cool.
Like, I've been working for this, I think I called I don't even know if she was my fiance at the time, 2017. She was my fiance at the time. So I called my fiance at the time and, told her, but, we're going to get ready for the game. Go out there the next day. I'm doing my special teams reps. I do my few of my reps. And then, of course, on one play as just a lead, running back comes with the ball, making a tackle, and I wrap and roll. My arm gets caught in the pile, and his body just goes back. And like his body, the weight of his body, I just feel Ooh. And I just remember just being like, oh no. And so I tried to do a push up on the field, and I barely could, but I did it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it was probably a partial tear, so I just run off the field. Like, all right, cool. Like, somebody else can do this. They take me in the back, and the trainer comes to me and is like, yeah, you tore your pec. I'm like, it's probably partial. Like, I don't know if you saw me out there, but I kind of push up, bro. Like, and if anybody knows, the NFL guys and trainers usually are conservative. Like, they usually try to force you back too quick. He was like, nah, kiddo, like, I'm sorry to tell you, like, I can feel it, like, you tore your pec tendon, right? He was like, I'm like, okay, well, what's that, like a month, a few weeks? Like, no, that's like 6 months. Huh? So that's my story. That's that, dang, like, you get that out of body experience. Yeah. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. I need to know, I'm in the Booby Miles mode. Like, nah, man, nah, I can't. I'm supposed to start. I don't know if you heard the conversation. Yeah. But, so we end up, I have surgery. And for me, that was a big time of like, you could have two paths. You can go into that woe is me, that depression. You have that mini moment of for me, you have that moment of depression of like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Right? Like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, seriously? And, but you gotta get yourself, one, you gotta get yourself out of it. And then two, I'm a big believer in everything happening for a reason. Right. And whether it's good or bad, right? So a lot of people look at the bad and they don't look back at their lives and see all the bad things or the moments they thought were bad and how that ended up leading to something that they didn't never expect it to happen, right? Yeah. So for me, it was an opportunity. I'm like, okay, well, this is When I came into the NFL, my dream was to be in the NFL. This is my dream. My dream was, because it's evolved ever since then, but my dream was to be in the NFL, be making a great salary, and then it'd be nothing in compared to what I'm doing and making off the field. Right. My dream wasn't to be an NFL player. Right. It's part of the dream. Like, you had to be an NFL player to have this dream, but it was layers and levels to my dream.
That's important.
So for me, I'm like, okay. And it took a week and a half or so. You in the sling, you ain't doing stuff. And so, it took a little while, but I'm like, maybe this is God giving me that opportunity to set up what is going to make me actually, or allow me to accomplish my dream, right? So for me, that's when I dove into real estate. My wife has a video. I remember she posted it to her Instagram or her Snap or whatever. And, literally the day after surgery or hours after surgery, we're in Best Buy and I'm slinged up and I'm looking at, they got the little blood thing, like still circulating blood from surgery or whatever. And I'm looking at appliances. And at the time, I didn't realize Best Buy had like appliances and dope discounts like that. But I'm just looking at different washers and dryers, because I had an apartment. I bought a house in Detroit going into that I was going to live in the season. And then at the end of the season, I was going to rent out. Right. So I was already thinking like, okay, this is going to be a rental part of the portfolio, all that type of stuff. And then I was flipping houses and stuff like that at the time. So I'm looking at appliances and looking at different prices and stuff like that. But like, for me, it was like, okay, this can either be detrimental to me or it's going to be an opportunity. And for me, that's when the real estate stuff just turned up tenfold, because it was just like, I really don't have anything else to do. When you're rehabbing a pec, if you hold your arm up like this after a week, that's like a big deal.
That's a perfect segue, because now we're going to go into the business side thing. But before we go into the next segment, Best Buy, I hope you're listening. We have sponsorship opportunities. So